The mirror, like surface of the lake, the reflection of the moon in the black cool water and the snow. White petals of the lotus, resting serenely on the surface of the water. The lotus is a symbol of perfection, a symbol of perfection, a symbol of purity. The lotus originates in dirty swamp mud and breaks through many layers of river silt, like our consciousness, which, awakening, breaks through obscurations and kleshas. Thus, rushing upward, the lotus flower overcomes all resistance, and one day its snow-white petals peck above the water surface to open up in all their beauty. The lotus in Buddhism symbolizes pure mind, pure consciousness, the state of Buddha. Breaking through the dirty swamp mud of obscurations, the lotus opens up into 1,000 petals, just as our consciousness opens up into 1,000 perfect qualities of Buddha in the process of spiritual development. What does the lotus mean in Buddhism? The lotus flower is a symbol of spiritual development and self-improvement. Lotus symbolism is often found in Buddhism. For example, the most famous sutra, which sets forth the teachings of Mahayana, is called Sutra on the Lotus Flower of the Wonderful Dharma. Why this name? Because the lotus is a symbol of perfection, a symbol of harmony. And this sutra sets forth, so to speak, the most perfect version of the Dharma, the teachings of Buddha. The lotus flower in Buddhism also appears in the most famous, or one of the most famous, mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. Its literal translation is, "Oh, pearl shining in the lotus flower." It is noteworthy that the translation phrase itself is, of course, very beautiful, but it does not carry any specific meaning. And this is, in fact, the whole value of the mantra. The thing is that as you practice reciting the mantra or meditating with it, it will reveal its meaning to each practitioner. And it is unlikely that you will find two identical understandings of this mantra in the world, because it is generally impossible to express the deep meaning of the mantra in words. But if we talk about an approximate understanding of the mantra, then it means approximately the following. In my heart, or in my consciousness, there is a precious pearl, the Buddha nature, the original pure nature of every living being. And in the process of opening the lotus, which symbolizes consciousness, the Buddha nature will shine in its core. This, of course, is only one of the variations in understanding the meaning of the mantra, and the description is very conditional. But this is, so to speak, a certain direction for the mind in order to delve into meditative reflections on this mantra at the initial stage. And subsequently, for each practitioner, it acquires its own meaning. And in the lotus of his consciousness, a precious pearl begins to shine, the Buddha nature. The meaning of the lotus in Buddhism is difficult to fit into any specific concepts, since there are many schools and trends in Buddhism. But in most of them, the lotus occupies a central position in the symbolism and personifies the perfection of the body, speech, and mind, which is achieved at the moment when we realize the presence of that pure, unchanging original nature in ourselves, the nature of Buddha. That is, one way or another, all living beings already have this state in themselves, but only due to the presence of obscurations and kleshas, as this state is not realized at a deep level. Just as heavy gray clouds hide the sun, so kleshas hide the nature of Buddha in every living being. And when the lotus of our heart opens up with all its noble qualities, the precious pearl illuminates everything around with the light of its radiance and inspires others to embark on the path of self-improvement. And this is the path of the bodhisattva. And the pearl shining in the lotus flower can be called bodhicitta, the virtuous attitude of mind that the bodhisattva tirelessly cultivates in himself for countless kalpas. The lotus in Buddhism is a symbol of victory over one's eternal enemies, the omnipresent kleshas, which in fact are the cause of all our suffering and our main obstacle on the path to achieving the state of perfection, the state of Buddha. In fact, all we can do is work with our mind. There is no point in trying to change this perfect world, because it is only due to our own imperfection that we see it as imperfect. And in order to see this world as the Tathagata saw it, we should tirelessly work so that the lotus of our heart opens up into 1,000 perfect qualities. Overcoming the swampy mud of the lake bottom, from which the lotus of our consciousness grows, we move in the right direction, from imperfection to perfection. And it is precisely this aspiration and this movement that nature itself shows us. With the help of the lotus flower,